Hey, welcome everyone. Greetings. It is GleeCon here again, back at you. And it's been after another couple day hiatus, but fear not, this is not a trend. It's just that time of year. Since as we're getting near the end of our first year of shows, so we're experiencing some of these things together for the first time. But I'm sure, as for many of you, the holidays are just a very busy time. And happy holidays to all of you. So if you're here listening, I hope that you're enjoying this as you get through your season in whatever form that takes. And you spend it with friends and family. And if not, hey, spend it with me. Um, on our last episode, we we continued to look at our little side Dungeons and Dragons role playing game. Aside from that, we've also been looking at that Sunwell trilogy. We finished the second volume in that as we continue to watch a Tauren and a Forsaken try to stop these dragons for their own purposes, and Vina, whatever she is. And we've also been reading Cycle of Hatred, where recently we found out that Aegwyn may or may not have something to do with all this, and at the very least, she is present on the scene. So stay a while and listen to Chapter 9 of Cycle of Hatred, where we find out what happens next. For many years, Rexxar, last of the Moknathal clan, walked the continent of Kalandor alone, save for the company of the big brown bear Misha. Born of orc and ogre blood both, as most of his now defunct clan, he had grown weary of the squabbling and ruthlessness and endless war that characterized what was laughingly referred to as civilization. In truth, Rexxar found more civilization in Misha's fellow bears, or the wolves of Winterspring, than in any of the human, dwarven, elven, or troll cities that marred the landscape. No, Rexxar preferred to wander, living off the land and being answerable to none. If he ever felt the urge to call a place home, he knew that he had one in Durotar. During the founding of the Orc nation, Rexxar had come to the aid of a dying orc who was charged with bringing a message to Thrall. Granting the warrior his final wish, Rexxar had brought Thrall that report, and found himself amid orcs who had gone back to the old ways before Gul'dan and his Shadow Council destroyed a once great people. But though Rexxar was honored to call Thrall a comrade and swear fealty to him, and was happy to fulfill that oath by aiding the orcs against Admiral Proudmoore's treachery among other services in the end, Rexxar preferred to wander. Even as great a nation as Durotar had towns and settlements in order, Rexxar was built for the chaos of the wild. Without warning, Misha broke into a run. Hesitating for a second, Rexxar followed his companion. He couldn't hope to keep up with the four-legged animal's loping gait, of course, but the half-breed's powerful legs were enough to keep him within sight of her. Misha wouldn't bolt from her companion's side without good reason. They were in a region near the coast filled with high grass. Though lesser beings might have found the terrain difficult to cross, Rexxar and Misha had sufficient strength to bend the grasses to their will. It was only a minute later that Misha came to a halt, her snout invisible as it dipped into the shoulder-high blades. Rexxar slowed down and put his hand to the hilt of one of the axes strapped to his back. What he found, what Misha had scented, was the body of a full-blooded orc. Rexxar knew this because a considerable amount of its blood had been shed. His hands falling to his side, Rexxar shook his head. A fallen warrior. It is only a pity that he died alone without comrades to aid him in battle. Before the half-breed wanderer could contemplate putting the brave orc's soul to rest, he heard a whisper. Not dead yet. Misha made a yowling noise as if surprised that the orc could speak. Peering down closely at what he had believed to be a corpse, Rexxar saw that the orc had lost an eye. The dead socket was healed over, so the wound had not been inflicted by the same hand or hands that had brought him to the brink now. Burning blade must get to Ormar. Thrall, Lord, burning blade. Rexxar knew not what was so important about a blade that burned, but this warrior was obviously clinging to life only because he had yet to provide the necessary intelligence to Thrall. Recalling the oath he had sworn to the war chief, Rexxar asked, What is your name? Byrock.
Fear not, noble Byrok. I am Rexxar of the Moknathal, and I swear to you that Misha and I will see you brought to Orgrimmar to deliver your warning to the war chief. Rexxar, you are known to me. We must make haste.
The half-breed could not say the same of this Byrok, but it mattered not. With a gentleness he rarely had cause to employ, he lifted Byrok's bleeding form and lay him across Misha's expansive back. The bear bore the weight with no protest, though they had sworn no actual oath. The bond between Rexxar and Misha was unbreakable. If Rexxar desired it, Misha would do it. Without another word, they turned westward toward Orgrimmar. The first time Rexxar came to Orgrimmar, it was still being built. Around him had been many dozens of orcs building structures, clearing pathways, and transforming the harsh wilderness of Kalimdor into a home. Upon his return now, that work had been done, but there were still many dozens of orcs visible through the gates, engaged in the day-to-day business of life. Though he had little use for civilization, Rexxar did feel pride and joy in what he saw. Since coming to this world, his mother's people had either been cursed tools of Gul'dan's demonic masters, or broken slaves of their human enemies. If orcs were to live in this world, better it be on their own terms. Surrounded on three sides by hills, a massive stone wall had been built on the city's fourth side. Reinforced with giant wooden logs, the wall was broken only by a large wooden gate, currently open, and two wooden watchtowers. Atop the wall were more logs, sharpened to a point to discourage enemies from storming the gates, and poles with pointed ends. The crimson flag of the Horde hung from both towers and from some of the poles. It was, Rexxar thought, a fearsome sight, fitting for the home of the mightiest warriors in the world. A guard wielding a spear approached from the gate.
Who goes there? I am Rexxar, last son of the Moknathal. I bear Byrok, who has been injured, and carries a message for War Chief Thrall.
The guard scowled and looked up at one of the watchtowers. The warrior stationed there yelled down,
It's all right. I remember that one, and his bear. Know that wolf's head mask anywhere. He's a friend to the war chief. Let him in.
Rexxar wore the hollowed-out head of a wolf he had slain on his crown. It served as protection for his head and an image of fear for his enemies. Satisfied with that, the guard stepped aside, allowing Rexxar, Misha, and the bear's burden to enter Orgrimmar. The orc city was built within a huge ravine with traditional hexagonal structures built into the sides of the ravine as well as the recesses. As he walked through the Valley of Honor, where the gate was built, toward the Valley of Wisdom, where Thrall's throne room was housed, Rexxar was both fascinated and appalled. The former because the orcs had come so far in a mere 3 summers, the latter because it was yet another city in a world that had too many of them already. When he was about halfway to the Valley of Wisdom, he was met by the familiar sight of a medium-height orc, Nazgrel, the head of Thrall's security, along with 4 of his guards.
Greetings, last son of the Moknathal. It has been far too long.
Out of respect, Rexxar removed his headgear.
Since seeing you, Nazgrel, yes. Since being in the city, no. But I did swear an oath to Thrall, and I would not leave this warrior to die in the grass.
I don't know why no one's healing him. Nazgrel nodded.
We have come to escort you to him, and the shaman has been summoned as well to tend to Byrok. We've also come to relieve Misha of her burden.
At a gesture from Nazgrel, 2 of the guards lifted the bleeding form of Byrok from Misha's back. At first the bear started to growl, but at a look from Rexxar, she backed down. They proceeded through the long and winding roads of Orgrimmar to the large hexagonal building at the far side of the Valley of Wisdom. Thrall was waiting for him in the throne room, which Rexxar found to be as cold as Frostsaber rock. Thrall sat on his throne, with the wizened shaman Kalthar standing on one side of the throne, and an orc Rexxar did not know on the other. When the guards had placed Byrok on the floor in front of the throne, Kalthar moved to kneel at the warrior's side. Shivering slightly, Rexxar saluted the war chief.
I bid you greetings, war chief of the Horde.
Thrall smiled.
It is very good to see you again, my friend. I only wish it would not take one of my people being beaten to near death to bring you back to Orgrimmar's gates. It is not my way to live among the city dwellers, War Chief, as you well know. Indeed, I do. Still, you have again done us a great service.
He turned to the shaman.
How is he?
He will survive. He is a strong one, and he wishes to speak.
Can he?
Thrall asked. Calthar sniffed.
Not well, but I doubt he will allow me to treat him properly until he does.
I must sit up. Help me, shaman.
That was Byrock. He sounded stronger than he had in the grasses, but not by much. With a huge sigh, the wizened orc gestured to Nazgrel's guards, who helped Byrock into a sitting position. Hesitatingly, pausing many times for breath, Byrock spoke of what had happened to him. Rexxar knew nothing of the burning blade, but the others did apparently. It was an old orc clan.
This can't be the same thing.
The orc Rexxar did not know, said.
It does seem unlikely. It's true, Burks, Thrall said, but if their symbol is the same.
Burke shook his head.
It could be a coincidence, but I don't buy that. Besides, I've been hearing rumors about a human cult that's been building up in Theramore. They're called the Flaming Sword. Might be that one of them had some of our people as slaves, learned the symbol that way, and took it for their own use.
Nazgrel nodded.
I've heard some of those rumors as well, War Chief.
With respect,
Calthar said.
I must treat this man. He has discharged his duty. Now I must take him from this ridiculously cold throne room and heal him.
Of course. Thrall nodded, and at the old shaman's direction, the guards took Byrock out of the throne room. Thrall then got up from his animal skin throne and started to pace.
What do you know of this flaming sword, Nazgrel?
Nazgrel shrugged.
Very little. Humans gathering in their homes to talk about things.
Burke sneered.
Sitting and talking are things the humans do quite well.
If they are brash enough to attack an orc within Durotar's borders,
Nazgrel added,
then they've become a lot more powerful than we thought.
We've got to respond, Burke said. It's only a matter of time before the humans attack us.
Rexxar thought this extreme.
You would condemn an entire species on the actions of 6 of them. They do the same to us in a heartbeat, Burke said. And unless these are the same 6 who stole our trees and who stood around and did nothing while orc traders were attacked, then it is very much more than 6 people.
Thrall turned to face Burks.
Theramore is our ally, Burks. Jaina would not allow such a thing to gain power.
She may not have any control over this,
Nazgrel said.
For all her power, for all she has earned our respect, she is but one human female.
Rexxar remembered Jaina Proudmoore as the only honorable human he'd ever met. When faced with a choice between siding with her father, her very flesh and blood, and honoring a promise to an orc, she chose the latter. That choice saved Durotar from being destroyed before it was finished.
The Lady Proudmoore, he said, will do what is right.
Shaking his head, Burke said,
Your confidence is touching, Mok'Nathal, but misplaced. Do you really think that a woman can change decades of human evil? They fought us and killed us and enslaved us. Do you think that will change just because one person says so? The orcs changed because one person said so,
Rexxar said quietly.
That person stands before you now as War Chief. Do you doubt him?
At that, Burks backed down.
Of course not, but...
Thrall, however, had obviously made his decision. He sat back down on the throne, refusing to let Burks finish.
I know what Jaina is capable of, and I know her heart. She will not betray us. And if there are vipers in her midst, both the Horde and the most powerful wizard on the continent will deal with it together. When she has finished with the Thunder Lizards, I will speak of her of this flaming sword.
He turned and looked right at Burks.
What we will not do is go back on our word to the humans and attack. Is that clear? Yes, War Chief.
Okay, well, that's cool that that guy survived. And we have some confirmation that this is most definitely after. Not that we didn't know before, but this is after that whole bonus campaign. All right, so I thank everyone so much for joining me on this episode. I hope you're having a good time with it. I hope then you're having a good holiday season, and we should be getting right back into a period where we can jam a lot on episodes coming out. I'll have a break from work here. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to this episode of Lore of Warcraft. In the pipe. 5x5.